6 games remain in the regular season for the Lightning. The question is, can they pull through? Fox Sports Florida reporter Andrew Astleford joins me now. Hey, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
I am fantastic, Andrew. It's been a while. How are things?
Good. It's a busy time. All kinds of different things coming at once now. The Lightning and the draft coming up, Rays opening day. So a lot going on in Tampa Bay for sure.
So much going on. And you said it today in your article on Fox Sports Florida. Another year, another test. Ain't that the truth? Can you tell us about some of the recent injuries to the team that we should be worried about?
Oh, exactly. Well, the other day in Detroit was really tough for the Lightning, actually. Jason Garrison was the main injury, a defenseman. He was injured there in the first period. When he was checked into the boards, he received an upper body injury, and Coach John Cooper today in Montreal told the reporters that Garrison's going to be out about 3 to 4 weeks, so that's a big blow. And then, you add Garrison's absence on top of a person like Braden Coburn, that defenseman they picked up from the Philadelphia Flyers at the trade deadline. He's out for at least a few more weeks. And so, their blue line's being tested again, and that's just something that's been strained all season for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But also in that Detroit game, you had Cedric Paquette, who looked like he received a pretty dangerous leg injury there. His left leg smashed into the post, trying to prevent a empty net goal there at the end, but he actually skated with the team considered a game time decision tonight, so that's pretty remarkable. But Tyler Johnson is day-to-day. Andre Schuster will miss about 1 to 2 weeks with an injury. So, this is a team that's dealing with a lot right now. They're going to have to come through to not only stay competitive in the Atlantic Division with this race going down to the wire with the Montreal Canadiens, but just try to get healthy for the playoffs. That's the most important thing at this point.
On the line with me now is Andrew Astleford, Fox Sports Florida writer and reporter. Last year, goalie Ben Bishop dislocated his left elbow against the Maple Leafs. It kept him out of postseason play, but it's a new year. How realistic is it for them to go far in the playoffs?
I think it's still realistic. I still contend, I wrote that in the article today, that Ben Bishop is the main piece for this team. If he stays healthy, I think this team can go far. Of course, you're going to have the goals scored. This is a team that's been among the top scoring in the NHL all season, and so you're going to have that goal-scoring capability from people like Steven Stamkos and Tyler Johnson. But, I think if Ben Bishop is healthy, this is a team that could reach the Eastern Conference Finals or perhaps win the Eastern Conference and go to the Stanley Cup Finals. And I think Ben Bishop needs to be a part of that, needs to be healthy. Andrei Vasilevsky has performed well for the Lightning since being promoted from the American Hockey League Syracuse Crunch earlier this season. But I still think this Lightning team just plays differently with Ben Bishop in goal. There's more confidence there. And so, if he stays healthy, I think that definitely enhances the Lightning's chances to go far, like I said, the Eastern Conference Finals or beyond. But if he's not there, that's something that, I think could hurt their chances a lot. And I think the playoffs are so much about matchups. If they run into a team like the Boston Bruins, it could be tough for the Lightning, and they'll need all the help they can get from a person like Ben Bishop, of course. So we'll see how they match up come the playoff draw and what that looks like. But right now, I think this is the team that can go pretty far if everything falls into place for them.
The Lightning are on the road this week. They play the Canadiens tonight, Maple Leafs tomorrow, Senators Thursday, and then they're in South Florida against the Panthers Saturday. They're all road games. Does this make you nervous at all?
Well, they're not as good on the road as they are at home, of course. This is a team that is just shown all year at home that it can play well and meet any kind of challenge. So I think this will say a lot about the Lightning this road trip, starting actually in Detroit, where they dropped that game against potential team they could be playing in the Eastern Conference quarterfinals. If the playoffs began today, they'd be matching up against Detroit. So that was kind of a worrisome result for the Lightning, even though they'd beaten Detroit in every other game this year. But I think tonight's matchup against Montreal is especially interesting. With so much on the line, the Lightning have beaten the Canadiens 4 times this season already and have really owned Montreal since the playoffs last year. And since that ended, they've really turned the page from that memory when they were swept in the quarterfinals, and they've really handled business against Montreal this year. Even though Carey Price is having a magnificent year against everyone else, they've managed to solve Montreal. So if they can go up there tonight and win at the Bell Center and kind of, with everything on the line with Montreal, I'm sure pumped up to kind of create some distance in that Atlantic Division race, if Lightning can steal a win, I think that'd be big for this team. But you're right. I think a lot will be learned about this team on the road. In this current road trip, if they can steal a few victories, especially tonight after losing like they did in Detroit on Saturday. I think that would be a big thing for this team going into the playoffs.
On the line with me is Andrew Astleford, Fox Sports Florida writer and reporter. Let's go back to Jason Garrison's injury. He's no Ben Bishop, but it's still serious. How much will Garrison be missed on the ice?
Oh, he'll be missed a lot for sure. I mean, this is a guy who's kind of played some of the best hockey of his career this season. He seemed to really provide a calming influence on that blue line and just kind of a sage presence, if you will, kind of a veteran there. So anytime you lose a player like that, and that's tough. And young players are going to have to step up. They brought in Luke Wachowski from Syracuse. They recalled him, made that official this morning. And, Luke's been up a few times with the Lightning. Is no stranger to the NHL, but he's still a green player. And you'd like to have a person like Jason Garrison in there, especially come playoff time, instead of a person like Luke Wachowski. But, the Lightning are going to have to make do with their situation, and they're going to have to come through with this. I think if all comes about in best case scenarios, Jason Garrison could come back maybe toward the end of the first round or beginning of the second if they get that far. So they're going to have to make do without Jason for a while now, and that creates opportunity for a person like Luke to really grow as a player. And that's still something that's not ideal by any means, but the Lightning are going to have to do their best.
Coach Cooper's been quoted saying that Stamkos just wants to win, which is obvious. We know that. But what sort of leadership has Stamkos shown this season that really proves that he's just taken ownership of this team?
Yeah, well, it's been fascinating to watch Stamkos in kind of this new phase of his career. He was kind of a person in waiting, if you will, behind Marty when Marty was here. And then Stamkos was the obvious choice at captain, I think, when Marty demanded that trade to the New York Rangers. And so, it's been fun to see Steven Stamkos kind of grow in his first full season as a captain. He has 40 goals right now, 27 assists. So, I think he would say at certain times this year that he didn't play up to his capability, even though he was still producing and still providing that leadership on the ice. But he was just that kind of stable presence the entire year. And, I think that's just something the Lightning look for from a guy like him. And he's really come through in that way this year. And, yeah, he's the star of this team. That's obvious. And people like Tyler Johnson learn from him and other young players. This is a young and evolving team. And, it's interesting to look back at the beginning of the year and consider some of the questions we had about them. Can they live up to the expectations? Can they kind of handle the pressure of a team that's no longer an unknown and, kind of live up to the hype that surrounded them in the preseason? I think they've done that, and Stamkos is a big reason why. And I think you saw that leadership come out against a team like Boston at home during the most recent homestand when he got in that fight, early in the game and kind of just, set the tone for the team, really. And they played angry the rest of the way and blew out Boston to snap that 10-game losing streak against Boston. So, I think Stamkos has shown leadership not only in his production and assists and goal scoring, but also in the way that he can kind of lead in just his actions and emotion. I think you saw it especially in that instance against the Bruins not too long ago at Amalie Arena.
Absolutely, and they play the Canadiens tonight, so we'll definitely be watching to see how the team does. Andrew, we are out of time, but thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.